Hello and welcome to the Connection Compass podcast. This is your host, Andrea Louise Evans. Before we get started, please check out the details for my new monthly container, Cycles and Seasons, where we learn, grow, transform, connect and understand ourselves more deeply through nature and moon cycles, supporting us to create more aligned and authentic choices in life, love and work. Each container contains a seasonal soul story, prompts for inquiry and a meditation. But now for this week's episode. This week I'm joined by Susie Sprigg, the Networking Strategist, for a rich and deeply human conversation about connection, courage and seeing what's possible. Susie shares her journey of being a natural connector long before she had the language for it, the courageous steps that shaped her work, and what happens when grief, self-belief and purpose begin to intertwine. We explore comparison and worthy rivals, the impact of masking at work, the power of truly understanding people, and how networking when rooted in care becomes a force for healing, opportunity and meaningful change. Hello, Susie, and welcome to the Connection Compass podcast. I am really excited that you're here, and thank you for coming on and chatting to us. For our listeners, please could you explain a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Susie Sprigg, and I am just rebranding. I am now a networking strategist. It's something I've probably always been without realizing. And I love meeting people and connecting people. I've always been joining the dots with people, even all my career, joining people up. Like, you need to speak to that person. Like something that I can just see, and I can see the potential collaborations and the potential opportunities with people.
I met you at an event called Courageous Action, and it was back in October, where you got up on stage and you shared a story. How did you get involved in that project, and can you tell us a little bit about it?
So that all begins with how I met Louisa. So look, I was opening a networking group in Warrington under the Women in Business Networking, and I saw that Louisa was also opening a networking group called Leading Ladies in Warrington. And at first I thought, how dare she open a networking group? And then I went straight into the, she's better than me. Who am I to open a networking group? And then you catastrophize and go, I'll just give it all up. And then I had a word with myself. And I thought, there's enough love, there's enough businesses for everybody. And then I saw Louisa at an event and ran up to her and gave her a hug. And I invited her to come to my networking group, and I went to her networking group. And after chatting, Louisa said that she thought exactly the same about me. And we could both go down two roads. We can either go down the competition road and decide not to like each other, do you mean, and be each other's sworn enemies. Or you can go down do you know what? There is enough love for everyone. There is enough work for everyone. And there's space for everyone. And we went down the let's get to know each other and work with each other. And we actually like each other. We actually like each other. There's no like trust, and we like each other and we work with each other. And every time, I think we've known each other for 2-3 years. Isn't it weird in business? It can feel so long, but then go so fast at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just a beautiful soul, is Louisa, and we work together now. She hosts my Women in Business networking groups. We're doing a book collaboration together. It was a no-brainer to be a headline sponsor at her event because we both have connecting courageous women in our titles, and it's just a match.
Do you think it's just our human nature when we're at that point and we realise that somebody else is doing something similar to us, that we just go on that catastrophic mode? It's a bit like vulnerability coming out, but you had the courage to move past that, both of you.
Do you know what? I think it's because I do this personality profiling, and I think it's a personality trait. Because there's certain personality styles that just go, no, I'm the best. There's some people, if you call it ego, they go, no, there's no one else like me, I'm the best. And they're not even bothered about what everybody else is doing. But I think there's certain personality styles that will go and think everybody else is better. Because we always look at other people, don't we? Think, they're just better at messaging, they're better at social media, they're just better than me. And I think it's okay to go there. I think it's okay to have those worries and fears and doubts. But I think we also need to then do that self-talk and actually talk it through with ourselves and go, is it true? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where's the evidence of that?
it's a point of growth.
But there are two types of people, and I've seen it all through my career because in my corporate career, I'm an accountant and project manager, and I had to do a lot of, I suppose, not nice things. So I worked for shared service centres, and we have to go into other businesses, understand what they did, and centralise the functions. So sometimes that was redundancies. And a lot of people are worried, and you can see them putting their arms around the, their teams or their functions and not wanting to tell you anything. So I think there's still two types of people where it's fear and lack and worried about stuff, or there's those people that are open and
Yeah.
honest. And I've been trained and programmed to just be the open and honest person.
So at that event, you spoke and you shared a very personal story. And are you able to share some of that story with us today?
Yes. So my significant event happened in April 2019. My husband passed away suddenly in April 19. He was 52 and I was 43. And that was I suppose that was the beginning, the ending and the beginning. When grieving changed to healing, I started thinking about what is it, who am I? Who am I now? I'm a 43-year-old widow. And I think as women, we give all ourselves to everybody else and we might lose us. I think we do lose ourselves in that process. We forget actually who we are as a person. Like I had to rediscover like what makes me laugh. When I was first deciding what holiday to go on to, and like, well, what holidays do I like anymore? What are my hobbies? Because we just morph. But one thing I realised I couldn't do was I just wasn't happy in my job anymore. I was a consultant, so I did the first leap of leaving a safe, secure job to be a contractor. And I did some personal development when grieving changed to healing, when, hope is one of my key strengths and inner strength profile, and hope is one of my key strengths because, I'm always a glass half full person. I need to have hope, the sun's always shining. And when grieving changed to healing, I wanted to do some personal development, and I discovered DISC personality profiling. And I thought, oh my God, everybody needs to know this because people are everywhere. You cannot get away from us folk. They're either in your family, your parents, your sisters, your children, your friends. They're definitely in the workplace, your bosses, your peers, the people you look after, and they're definitely in business. Do you mean your suppliers, your customers? We're everywhere. In fact, you can't get away from us. And this is a personality profiling tool that breaks it down to just 4 types. And I can get 4 types. I can remember 4 types. So I was like, oh my God, everyone needs to know this. Because in my corporate career, leadership teams, I was always fascinated about how you can go to work, you're at work for 12 hours a day. Your manager or the person sat next to you can make or break your day. It can either be a good day at work or it could be a rubbish day at work. And I generally didn't believe that everybody woke up in the morning and thought, I'm going to ruin Jane's day. I don't think people wake up. I'm hopeful, 99% of the time we don't wake up and go, do you know what, I'm going to ruin Janice's day. We just do it because we don't understand people. We're just different. And I thought I was going to save the world by educating people. This beautiful tool. And that's how I started a business.
What does DIS stand for?
Anything. It's an acronym. So there's 4 styles. You're either outgoing or reserved or people focused or task focused. So outgoing tasks are what we call our Ds: decisive, driven, determined. Your outgoing people are our Is, which are inspiring, influencing ideas people. Your reserved people are our S's, so your steady, stable, secure, safe people. And you've got reserved tasks, which are our C's, your careful, cautious, correct people. That's just what the acronym stands for. And in my job, I'm an outgoing people, and I'm an accountant. So everyone I was working with, I reserved tasks. So I was always the opposite. I was always the odd one out. I stood out like a mile. So all my strengths now that I use in my day-to-day life in my business, I use them because I play to my strengths. But when you're in the wrong environment, you stick out like a sore thumb, like your strengths are seen as your
Mm,
weaknesses. That makes
mm.
sense.
Yeah, no, of course yeah, it does. Yeah. The last time I did disc, it was quite interesting because I suppose when I did it, I was in recovery. I was in a recovery mode from being burnt out, and I'm quite driven and action orientated, and and so I had myself down as this like really driven dynamic, like have an idea and I run with it. And someone said to me, I don't see you like that at all. But it was really interesting because I realized I still wasn't myself. I wasn't quite fully recovered. And I just needed to just ease off a little bit and just give myself some grace. But it is really interesting and it's very insightful.
Yeah, so there's three other reports I do is three graphs that we look at. So there's one, your perceived self. So when you look yourself in the mirror, this is who you are, your true self. Then there's who you are at work. And then your second graph is your stress default position. So like when you're stressed, your personality changes. We can do well in any job because we're intelligent human beings. The only difference is like one's a learned behavior, one's a natural instinctive behavior. And sometimes if you're in the wrong job, you just haven't, you're trying so hard to be what like everybody wants you to be in the behavior that you have to be, but you don't realize it, the stress it's actually putting you under.
Mm,
So yeah, so you might have had to be very decisive and determined, but it's not your natural. So yeah.
mm. Ah, right, okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
I
when
see what you're saying.
people get
Yeah,
more burnt out because they're having to. Like I
yeah.
remember I would have to go to work sometimes and have to put my power suit on. I'd have to really,
Mm,
we call it masking, you'd have to, all those strategies you'd have to put on
mm.
to behave in the way that that environment needed you to behave.
Oh,
Just because you
that's quite
can
interesting.
doesn't mean you should.
Okay, that's quite interesting. You started out as an accountant. So was it the death of your husband that was the catalyst for change in your career?
Yeah. So the reason why I did accountancy, so when I left school, I've always done A levels and I didn't really enjoy a topic enough to go and learn about it for 2 more years. When I went to college, BTEC national diplomas had just come out. So in business and finance, and that's where I was learning like a little bit of business studies, a little bit of French, a little bit of German, a little bit of accountancy and business law. It's just like a tapas of knowledge, really. And I discovered I was really good with numbers. Hated maths, but really good with numbers because it was more logical maths and all those equations and like algebra and fractions. Like, please no, doesn't make sense. But numbers is logic and reason. Like 1 + 1 is always 2. And I found out that I've got a really good photographic memory. That's how I learn. And once it's in, it's locked in. Maybe not now. I'm old and I'm perimenopause. It's like one in, one out, one in, two out. But when I was younger, it was I was like a sponge, and it really fascinated and interested me. So I got a job in the finance industry. So I was a credit controller. And then in my career, I've had two beautiful mentors, two female bosses who must have seen something in me and
Mm.
guided me to progress and made me, and they made me do some qualifications. And but like when someone just believe, all you need is one person to believe in you and can see something in you that you can't see. And these two fabulous female bosses just nurtured me and got me qualified. And they just did it in such a tricky way. Like if they would have said, Sue, what we're going to do, we're going to make you study now for the next 7 years, of the stuff off, right? But they just said, like, well, why don't you? You're already doing it. You may as well just go and do this qualification. We'll pay for it. You can take time off work. I was like, all right, that sounds all right. And then once I've qualified in that, they went, well, you may as well just do the next one, hadn't you? And I suppose that's what it is. You just need to be drip fed. Do you mean?
Yeah.
Just take the next natural step. If you really knew this, I'm not that kind of person. If you would have told me it was 5, 7 years, I'm like, no, thanks. and work was pain. And I got day release. Like, why not? So that's how I did accountancy. It just made sense to me. Numbers are quite logical to me. So yeah, I didn't ask for it. I didn't have a plan. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up, Susie? An accountant? No,
No.
no.
What did you want to be when you
Do
grew
you
up?
know what?
Is
It's a
there
good
an idea?
question. I didn't really have a career in mind. I just wanted to grow up and be married and have children and live happily ever after. You know, like the fairy tale, live in a castle. Honestly, that's. I still want the house with the turret. Nobody see the houses with that nice round bay window and a turret. That's what I want.
Yeah. Me and my friend went to Chatsworth House the other week, and I was like, "I'm home."
You mean nice little bay window? Yeah.
The women who saw that potential in you, do you emulate that in your work? So is that an ethos that you have brought into your work as well?
Do you know what? It must have been because you don't get taught people skills, do you? There's no college course to go on, exam to pass, assessment or anything like that.
Yeah.
People tick. And when people get promoted, everyone gets promoted. Everyone starts lower level, don't they? And they get promoted. And with promotions, you have to do people management. And if you're really lucky, you get some good companies that invest in the line managers and you go on leadership courses. But I think that's like 2% of the population, really, isn't it? And you don't get taught people skills or line management. And unfortunately, I've had more shit managers than good managers. But I do remember every time I had a bad experience, I would go, I'm never going to make someone feel like that. And then every time I had a good experience, I went, you know what? I'd love to make more people feel like that. And I've just learned that way.
The one time I've ever done anything different, and from my public health, infectious disease, but I did something different between 2015 and 2018, and I had a similar manager that saw something in me as well, and she allowed me to be completely creative, and it was the best thing someone's ever done for me, really, to allow that freedom. And you're absolutely right. People can either make you or just make your life hell in the workplace, but it's quite sobering, and you think, well, and I've had those moments as well. I'll never make anyone feel like that. I never want anyone to feel small or humiliated.
But I don't think it's their fault. This is why I love DISC, because I was 43 years old when I finally worked out who the hell I am, learned to love myself and play to my strengths. You know, like that saying, play to your strengths. Some people don't even know what the strengths are because they're in the wrong environment, or they just listen when other people say, oh, you're not very good at that. Oh, am I not? I'm like, I suppose it's that cartoon that you've seen where a frog, a kangaroo, a tiger, a turtle. Do you mean like if someone says, and a cheetah, if someone says run that the fastest, then the cheetah's going to win. I mean, if you're all asked to do the same thing, we've got different skills. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was never at my desk at work. I was itchy pants, I suppose, never at my desk. Most accountants hide behind computers and love spreadsheets. I was interested in people. I was chatting to people and generally interested in them. And because you come to work and we're so much more than just the one job that we do at that workplace. So then when I got promoted to do projects, which is as a project manager, you were never really in charge of people. And it's probably more difficult to get people to do stuff for the project because you weren't their direct line manager. But I was really good at that because I knew everyone's skill set and I was doing matching then, like, well, Bob in that department does that and Sandra does that. So we'll get them on the team and it'll be great. And it was. We had successful projects, successful teams because I was matching people's skill set to jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm. So in the end, what was it about your job that wasn't quite making you happy?
Personality style will stay in a job for the people, for the environment. Do you know what I mean? Because money is obviously a contender, but I wouldn't leave somewhere for £2,000 because the risk of the team environment not being the same, I might
Yeah.
leave for £10,000. I suppose I got bored. I always got bored quite easily. So I realised I'm good at making change happen.
Yeah.
And as soon as the change happens, I get bored easily because used to call it a babysitting role. I don't want to just come in and plod. I like to make change. And then it's like growth then, isn't it? You come in, make the change, and you're ready for the next step. And I suppose after a certain stage in my life, I always got headhunted, or I was manifesting without even realizing I was manifesting, right? Because all I did was get really clear. And this is what I asked you, didn't I?
Yeah.
I got really clear on what it is that I wanted. So you could either get clear on what you don't like, you know what's not working, but the more you focus on that, the more it doesn't work.
Mhm.
I just got clear on what I wanted. And if it wasn't making me happy, or I wasn't happy in my job, I would have a conversation with my boss. And a constructive conversation to explain what's going on and what I'm looking for so that we had an opportunity to make it work. And if it still wasn't really working, I would be honest and say, look, it's time to move on. I gave them a notice and stuff. But because I got clear on what I wanted, out of the blue, I'd get a phone call from someone who used to work with and go, hey, there's a job going here. Do you want it? And I'm like, yes, please.
Wow.
That's been happening since I was 30 years old. I never have to do interviews or anything like that. I just got someone said, oh, Susie can do that. Do you want to give her a call and see if she's free? I think that's because when you leave somewhere, you should always leave on a good
Yeah.
note. And that's so when I have conversations with people, and people used to complain to me like, oh, I'm not really happy. I think I'm going to leave. And I'll always say, well, have you told your boss? Have you told someone about it? Even if it's marriages or friendships or anything like that. Well, have you spoke to them? And they go, no. Well, how can you make a change if they don't know? How can
Yeah.
you try and do something to make it right if you're not having a conversation with them? Which we're going to talk about conversations, the power of conversation.
Yeah.
Because there's so much goes on in your head that's not potentially real. Do you know what I mean? And, like, until we can say the words out loud in a constructive way, we can't do anything with it, can we?
Yeah. Can you describe that clear, that focus? Does it look like? What does it feel like? Are you able to explain it?
So when I say you've got clear on what you want, it starts off with numbers, so like income, what income do you need? It might start off with then when I say play to your strengths, like how do you want to work in your daytime? Like some people, give a good example to my stepdaughter. My stepdaughter she lives in Scotland and she came to live with us last year. She's 20 years old and she's had 4 jobs for 12 months. So she worked in a logistics business where she was sat down all day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, looking at spreadsheets. She didn't like that. She's worked in a hotel. She's worked in Haven Holidays, Craig Tara Haven, as a children's entertainer, and she's worked in a cafe. So she's had good experience. And all I did was ask her, so, well, what did you enjoy? Do you enjoy Monday to Friday, 9 to 5? She went, no way, kill me now. She likes shift work. She likes working 12-hour shifts. She likes being on her feet. She likes interacting with people. Do you mean? And then I did her dish report, and I know what personality style she was. So I gave her a list of all potential jobs and careers that would suit her requirements. So whereas I couldn't think of anything worse of doing shift work. It's not for me. I mean, I need to have set times and rules and process, whereas she likes variable stuff. And so she's a care assistant working for a private care company for individuals with mental health problems.
Oh.
They've either got brain injuries or Alzheimer's, and she loves it. She does personal care. Do you mean shower them, clean them up? And she loves it. Whereas I couldn't think that'd be like the worst thing for me. But all we did was got clear on her income goals. What work environment does she like? What does she enjoy? What doesn't she enjoy? And we just narrowed it down. And then I asked her, like, well, how many holidays do you want to go on? We fit around her requirements. It's like you have to write a list of your requirements down. That's all it is. Get
Right.
clear on your requirements, how you like to live your life, how much money you need, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I did when I manifested Phil. I wrote a list of requirements I would like my future partner to have. It's just a list.
Yeah. And so when you've got that list, and is there a point where I'm just getting down to the nitty-gritty? I like to get right down to the root and see how it all works. So when you've got that list, do you say to yourself, "Right, I've got it now. This is exactly it. This is what I want," and just, like, focus on it?
Yeah. So the first thing you need to do is imagine it, is dream it up, right? The next thing you need to do is write it down, because getting it out of your head onto paper, writing it down on I wrote it up. I wrote it on Word, do you know what I mean? And I looked at it every day. I pinned it up so I could see it. And then the third thing you need to do is tell people,
Mm,
because people bring you everything you need,
mm.
right? So when I told people I was ready to date, I'm ready to date again. I'm ready to date again. I've got a list of requirements. My top 10 are these things. And then I got introductions to people. Oh, this such and such is free. So that's the same back day. Even when on the dating app, on social media, you've got, we talk in business, we talk about ideal clients, right?
Yeah,
So niche is not a naughty word. You have to imagine who your ideal client is, like the behaviors, the mannerisms, what they look like, how they work, the work ethic and all that kind of thing. So that when you are writing your social media post, you're talking to that person. And then hopefully the words will resonate with that person. You don't want it to resonate with everybody else.
yeah.
So that's what I did on my dating profile. Because my most important thing is I have 4 Jack Russells, right? I have 4 dogs. And there's no point if everybody else hit those requirements, but they didn't like dogs, well, it's not going to work, is it? Because liking my dogs and having fur all over your clothes, do you know what I mean? It's going to be a standard requirement, isn't it? Right.
That's the
That
deal.
was my non-negotiable. So to make sure I wasn't wasting time on my dating profile, I just put must like dogs. I have 4 Jack Russells.
Mhm.
Swipe on if you don't like it. And then if you're still interested, I want a kind man who smile, go straight to their eyes. No, I really talked about some characteristics and stuff like that. But then also when I talk about getting clear on what you want. So me and Phil want to live in Scotland. And when I do my talks, I tell people this all the time. When I have one-to-ones with people, I tell people all the time. And I have an army of women now, an army of people when they're out and about in Scotland, sending me images of, you know, houses for sale or campsites with separate accommodation for sale, because I got clear on what I wanted. Me and Phil talk about it all the time. We're bringing it to life. We've written it down and I'm telling people about it. So like I'm creating an army of people who are already on this mission to make it happen. And that's
Yeah.
it. It's really simple. But if you just keep it in your head, most people don't even have an imagination, but if you just keep it in your head, then you're making it more difficult for it to come true.
A lot of your work, you told us, is about connecting people. What is it about that that makes you so passionate about it? Why is it your thing?
Every time I run my networking group, I always say it's the best legal high ever.
Mhm.
And watching people smile, or when the light bulb moments go on, or when someone says, I'm looking for someone's helping with social media, and someone goes, I'm a social media person. I'm like, you're a match. It's like remember the game Pairs? Do you remember when as a kid, like you
Yeah.
flip the cards over and it's a match? That's what really lights me up.
Mhm.
Connecting people and seeing opportunities. I'm really good at seeing possibilities. That's another word for an opportunity. I'm really good at seeing the potential possibilities. Like
Yeah.
I might introduce people and go, right, I don't know why, but you two, there's something there. Have a conversation. And if you don't realize what it is at first, be patient and be open, because there's something that you two need to do. Or usually I know exactly what they need to do and just tell them.
Mm.
Just tell them what to do. You two need to do that. Like bang your heads together, just get that sorted. It's going to be great.
What sort of things have you seen people go and do? No,
Um,
obviously there's a whole thing about like Louisa and we'll get her on the podcast as well. how you've come together and you've worked together and you've created something magical. But what other things have you seen?
Usually it comes with through, I don't want to sound woo now, through a download. So when I meet lots of people, I'll invite them to my different networking groups so that in that room at that time, they'll say something and they just then go on and have a one-to-one or become each other's clients. So I didn't
Yeah.
like, because when you're networking, people will tell each other about what they do in their business, but we are multifaceted, but they'll need to be in that room for a reason. Or even if they've already known each other before, like sometimes people have met and they used to know each other like 10 years ago. I feel like my purpose is to create rooms for people to come and meet. They would never have normally met if it wasn't for me.
Yeah. I think I would describe it as you being in complete alignment with yourself, which then enables other people to be in complete alignment as well with each other. I would
Yeah.
describe it as that.
A lot of people say that they feel safe and comfortable
Mhm.
when they're in the room with me. They always open up. They're very vulnerable. They open up more than they ever will in other spaces. And that's the when you run a business, that's the level and the layer you need to show up as,
Yeah.
not surface level stuff.
Yeah.
But I understand sometimes it's not very safe to be that vulnerable and that open in other spaces, and that's why I've created these communities, because I can be me. I'm not different at work or at home. Do you know what I mean? I'm me. However, if I go to other spaces, I don't feel safe. And that's female spaces and mixed spaces.
Sometimes it's not always something that you can explain. It's something that you feel. It's an energy that's a little bit off, isn't it? There's an energy that's not quite right, and you can feel it. I understand what you're saying.
Because my first book that I read when I started a business was called No Like Trust with Penny Powell.
Mm.
She's been in business 20 odd years. Her and her husband, Thomas Powell, have got a great community. And I knew what it meant logically. You're like, of course, you have to get to know people and like them, then trust them. But I
Mm.
didn't really get it.
Mm.
I do now. You're like, some people are really fast at that, getting to know, like, and trust each other really quickly. I mean, you're like, some people are really drawn towards it instinctively, like
Yeah.
BFFs before you realise it.
Yeah.
And there's other people that just take a little bit more time. There is
Mm.
a bond needs to grow a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you have to create those spaces for that to happen individually and not push, isn't it? It's like it's something that grows organically.
And then, like, so if I remember at work, I did my best conversations in the kitchen. Do you know what I mean? You only go and make a brew,
Yeah.
and you just sat there, or you're making a brew, you just have just a kitchen, I call it a kitchen chat.
Mm.
But I did my best work there, like best decisions, you know what I mean, with the other person. And when you now work at home, like, where do you create those environments where you're going to bump into, like, even used to bump into each other up the stairs or in the corridor? I'd be like, oh, I've been meaning to speak to you. I was thinking about you last night. Do you know what I mean? It's those interactions that are really important. And when we all have our businesses and we're all at home, how can we have those interactions? Because it's those bumping in, we call them touch points now. It's those bumping into each other moments that will become, do you know what I mean, that jog our memories for things.
We recently had a conversation, and I know you've been really busy. I don't know how much detail you remember that from that conversation, but it went in a slightly different direction as to how I anticipated. And the thing that turned things around is that you asked me a question and you asked me, "What do you want?" And it threw me a little bit. And I just wondered what made you ask me that question that day?
Well, that's what I'm good at. Just being lazy. Because you was telling me lots of different things. You was telling me what you did,
Mm,
and I was still confused. I'm like, well, but what do you want to do? What do you want?
yeah,
I think I asked how much money do you need to earn. Ultimately, we are working because we do need money.
yeah,
Yes, there's different multiple income streams that we can have. There's not just one way to earn money now. You can work part-time there and part-time there. But I always ask myself these questions. What do I enjoy? What am I good at?
mm,
And what do I enjoy? Because they could be two different things. Do you know what I mean? I'm good at a lot of things. I don't enjoy them all. And how can I make money from this?
yeah,
And I asked you, what is it you want to do? What is it you want to do? And sometimes we just need to be asked.
And it was really funny. And this shows you the importance of conversation because it completely opens things up, isn't it? So I was thinking, I can't remember the last time somebody asked me what I wanted. But then I was thinking, surely I haven't gone over the past 3 years without somebody asking me what I wanted. And I think in that moment when you asked, I kind of paralyzed a little bit. I felt myself freeze. And I'm sure I must have done this 100 times before. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know, actually. But what actually happened afterwards, that it opened a complete can of worms. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to, like, unpick stuff." But then what that did was it opened up my mind. First of all, it made me confront something that I was completely ignoring, that was staring me in the face. And I actually came to understand that as that was really important for my foundation. And actually, it was something that I was considering way down the line, but actually, I needed it to be in place to have a foundation. So that completely changed my focus and my redirection. And at the time, I was doing these 40-day devotional practices. So I let go of what I was telling you, and it's kind of all sorted itself out in a really funny way. And I've got a direction. It looks a little bit different from perhaps what I was explaining. I was leading with, because obviously I was telling you that I'd grown this framework and it had grown over 9 years. I was trying to lead with that. I was trying to lead with yoga. I was trying to lead with coaching, but actually the work doesn't want to be led by like that. It has the philosophy Taoism running through it, and it's the Taoism that wants to lead. But then the other stuff, the kind of personal foundation, I'm not ignoring that anymore. I'm like focusing on it, and I think that is really important about why we need to have conversations. And I've always been concerned about conversations, particularly over recent years in the current climate, because I think sometimes conversation gets shut down. But it doesn't matter how difficult those conversations are, we still need to have them, because it opens up doors, it opens up minds, it puts us on a redirection.
Mhm. Yes, some people want to know the purpose of conversation. And I'm like, sometimes I go to a call and I'm like, I just know we're meant to be in this space right now. So when I have one-to-ones with people, I'm just open and I never know where the conversation's going to go. Yes, I've got an intention about some of my asks, but it just came to it's probably towards the end where that
Yeah.
came from, because I was asking lots of questions. Yeah. So I don't want to get more on you, but the universe sends everyone you need, the right people your way when you need them. And that is for lessons, it's for money, it's for pearls of wisdom, isn't it? It's for nuggets. Mhm.
And so what's next for Susie? What's your plans next? What are you doing next?
So this year was all about my personal pillar, the family. So we've been simplifying. I did a post about it today, actually, you know, looking at our wastage. Where is our money? Where we're wasting money, where we're wasting time, where we're wasting our energy. And I suppose when two people come together, you bring two whole lives and you try and make it fit, don't you? So we simplified everything. We looked at our family pillar and we simplified it. Where do we need to live? What do we need to be doing? So we sold all our properties to one house. Now we live in one house. We're currently still doing that.
Mm.
We moved to Stockport, not Scotland, because we needed to be near family for a few more years. And we've just become a one-car family, because just because we can afford it doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah.
Uh, so I've been focusing on the personal life pillar, but that's okay, because that was laying the foundations. That was getting everything ready. And next year, I'm coming out as Susie Sprigg, the networking strategist.
Fabulous.
I've been networking now for 5 years. And I remember when I first started business, people go, you must go networking. When you have a business, when I worked in corporate, I was told to go networking. I couldn't think of anything worse being in a room with more accountants, really. Men with grey suits, blue suits, like yawn. But when you have a business, networking is the lifeblood of your business for business growth, but personal development and community and connection.
Yeah.
We're told to go networking, but we have no clue what to do. And it's more than just turning up. It's a networking strategy. And it's more than just what happens when you go in the room as well. It's all about looking at your goals and where are we going to get those goals met, which networking rooms. It's how you enter those rooms, and it's all about the follow-up process as well. And I wish I existed when I started business 5 years ago, because I would have gone, please tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I know I need to do it. I just don't know what I need to do. So I'm going to help you save your money, save your time, save your energy, where to go, what not to do. And I'm going to introduce you to the right people of where you need to be going and what you need to be doing.
Thank you, Susie. It's been lovely speaking to you today. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thank you.
Okay.
What a great conversation that was with Susie, demonstrating the importance of conversations and how they can open doors to our mentors who see what we can't see yet, and also that quiet magic of getting clear on what you want and daring to name it. For more information on Susie's work, and also for February's Cycles and Cena's container review, you'll find all the information in the show notes. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Connection Compass. If you think this episode will help somebody, please leave a review, and remember to keep talking, keep connecting for a more interconnected world.